competitive governance. This is what this video is on and how it works. We have competitive governance in a lot of areas. I want to have competitive governance in a lot of areas of government, such as education, police, military, family law. I have a lot of different ideas about that. But in each one of those, what is competitive governance? Okay, how it works is in every geographic jurisdiction, so all of Virginia, all of a city in Virginia, all of America, so city, state, federal, or local, all of them. Every person and every business selects from a dozen competitive governments, so there's a dozen of them. Not in each geographic area, the whole geographic area. You could just select which one. I have one. I select one. My neighbor selects another one. The neighbor down the street selects another one. So in every geographic area, there's a dozen encompassing the whole geographic area. All of Virginia, there's a dozen ones that every citizen of Virginia gets to choose. They select their government. Now, a lot of framework around this. A lot of cooperation required. You have to be governed. You have to pick one. There'll be kind of one monopoly for certain things that need it, but that's going to take us 70%. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. I have a lot of bullet points on this. So there'll be about a dozen in every geographic area, and you select yours. Now, governments only govern their members. And when it reaches the few things that a monopoly government needs to be doing, then they work through the competitive governance. So they still do the mandatory stuff as well, your competitive governance. Okay, members of a competitive government elect their leadership, further defining the political philosophy. So whether it's education or police or how you deal with the poor, on charities and stuff, you select your government based off their philosophy in that area of government. Their political philosophy. So people who like Heritage Foundation might group, people who like Brookings Institute might group, liberals, conservatives, Democrats, Republicans, libertarians, they'll all have groupings there. As long as you get 5% of the citizens in that geographic area, you can have your own government in that area of government. So we split government into 30 sectors, and each sector you can have, as long as your government is taking care of the responsibilities of that government, of that sector, you can do that. Citizens and businesses pay the cost of their governance, so no more big general budget. You pay directly to your government, whether it's education or police. You have a police contract, education contract, a military contract, a environmental contract. All these things that you're paying for it to an environmental group, a insurance group, or whatever the case may be. All governments must respect civil liberties and ensure their members respect the civil liberties of others. So a government cannot just do anything they want. They have to take care of what's that sector's responsibilities. You have to, if you go for a competitive school board, you have to take care of education for the members that you have. Okay, you can't just. I'm not doing it. You can't just become a member of one that doesn't do anything. They have to take care of their own responsibilities. There is a monopolized, but they have a wide varieties of latitude of how they do it. There is a monopolized representative societal oversight. Four big words. Monopolized, which means over all the competitive governments. They're done by representatives of each competitive government. And it's societal oversight, so it's not governing itself. It is societal oversight saying you went too far. This government went too far, or you're not. Your members are causing negative externalities to the general society or individuals. So rein them in. You put some regulations around that. To be as a competitive government, you have to do certain things, and that about maybe 10 to 20% will be done by the monopolized societal oversight. Most governments are going to do the correct kind of stuff. And if they don't, they stop becoming a competitive government. They can't get membership dues. and all their members have to now go to another. So they'll be motivated to do the right type of things. There's a monopolized, okay, I'll just read it again. There's a monopolized representative societal oversight to ensure governance occurs above certain standards. So they have to take care of certain responsibilities. Let's say on the roads, you have to make sure the roads aren't falling apart, the bridges are safe. You have to make sure you're using the same stop signs and signals and the like. All the traffic laws are the same on your roads that it is for everybody else. There's a lot to each one. I go into each sector. I basically have a competitive governance structure, competitive school boards, competitive police, competitive military and the like, competitive social security. Okay, competitive rating systems with rating floors addresses negative externalities, abuses, and corruptions. So competitive rating system means you select a rating agency that you agree with most. Could be about a dozen, and they will rate based off of their rating philosophy, what they want to see. They will rate all the different competitive governances, and yours might be rated high, maybe rated low. You'll see why it's rated high and low, and there'll be a mandate in the rating system. Is a mandate for the rating agencies to debate. So expert debates other experts in the area, so they can come to some type of maybe collective facts, even though they might disagree. You start narrowing down how much is unknown. Quality information from rating agencies with a wide variety of perspectives. So again, wide variety of perspectives is I choose a rating agency, you choose one. We have different ideas what we should be rating on. So each one's going to be from a different perspective. You have a dozen of those and you can start getting good information. Now this will enable trillions of decisions, informed decisions by billions of people. Obviously, we're about 1/3 billion people in America, but a lot of people buy things overseas. So there's literally billions of people in this world, and there's trillions of decisions over the course of years, leading to higher standards. So the rating system is going to be highly important in this whole system. The governing is going to be more important. Don't get me wrong, but the information coming from the rating agencies from a wide variety of perspectives is going to be significant. The new government must ensure its members do not create negative externalities, harm from outside of the transaction. If you do a transaction with another, but it harms other people, that's a problem. The governments cannot allow you to create harms. Now there will be certain things that you have to you can do. So I say significant negative externalities. There's always going to be negative externalities from something. Somebody playing music in a park, how loud that can be. So significant negative externalities, the radio is really loud. Minor negative externalities, the music's not too loud. You might not like it walking by, but then you have to tolerate some other people. You have to tolerate the liberty of other people up to a certain degree at least. Okay, the new government must ensure its members. Okay, I already said that one. The 60%. There's a lot of percentages within my constitution I use to create this. I try to really think about what percentages I want. I don't want it too low to stop liberty of others, but I also don't want it so high that we have negative externalities out there, and we can't stop that negative externalities of other people having their liberties. So I really try to get my percentages correct. And it might have to be adjusted over time. I don't know. I keep on going. We do this in the constitutional amendment form, where 5% of citizens of any jurisdiction have the authority to create their own government with the legislative, executive, and judicial branches to govern their members. So they all have their 3 branches. Now, the monopolized board has their 3 branches as well, to make sure things aren't going too far out of range. But your government still has the legislative, the executive, and the judicial branches. So that's important. and they govern only their members, who freely select them with the responsibilities of the new government. So the responsibilities of education, or responsibilities of roads, or the responsibilities of insurance regulations, the banking regulations, and the like. Corporations among competitive governments is required. Cooperation among competitive governments is required up to a certain degree. Obviously, we tolerate the liberties of others, but to a certain degree, cooperation is needed. So there's a lot of cooperation needed. 10% of governance will have a monopolized control. Depends on how you want to define 10%. It might be up to 20% in some areas. The commander-in-chief, the police chief, those are all areas of monopolized control. But how much control do they have in your daily life? Not that much. The other things are much more in control. So internal affairs are going to be monopolized to a large degree. Courts, among others. They will always work through the competitive governments, though. So a competitive government cannot just do what they want. They have a lot of liberty to do what they want to do, but there are limitations. Once it starts creating significant negative externalities, is how I put it. And there's a lot to it. I think that my constitution is like 12 or 13,000 words, and all that is trying to separate government into 30 sectors, and then so that's a lot of words right there. And then seeing what government's currently doing right now, and putting words to limit how much government can do in every area of what government's currently doing. Because you go back 150 years, government in the United States, the federal government did not do but 5 or 10% of what they're doing now. So they really grew. So I want to go back to early 1800s. Obviously not the slavery part or some of the bad parts. We need liberty. But the small federal government is what I want. Obviously they need to make sure certain things cannot go too far out of the range, like slavery and the like. There will be 30 competitive systems that have their own distinct full competitive government structures. Competitive governance structures. So everybody will be working on this. I have videos on my 30 sectors all throughout my social media, or go through Haley2024.org and you can see it quickly. This structure is distinct at the federal, state, and local level. So this full structure is at the federal level. Each state has a distinct structure just like this. Then every local government has a distinct structure like this. And every state can kind of change how their local government structure is working, or how much power is in this that. Because you get a town of, let's say, 2,000 or 3,000 people, and it's very difficult to have a full structure. So small towns might not have as much of this structure. States can deal with that. That's why they go with counties. Counties will probably be what we consider the local, and then the town has certain aspects of power. Every local competitive government will coordinate with the state competitive government, and likewise every state competitive government will coordinate with federal competitive governments. So you probably have sister companies sister organizations all across. So if you are, quote unquote, the Republican Party or the Democrat Party, or organization Brookings Institute, or organizations Heritage Foundation, you can have organizations in every state, organizations across all the localities. So you can have a big unified people giving good either conservative or liberal viewpoints throughout their system. And then every citizen is going to see the results, and you can change at your will. Okay, a lot more to see at Haley2024.org. Until the next video.